I remember 4 years ago at the New York Auto Show, late in the day, on a small stage out on the concourse, the fledgling Genesis brand unveiled their GV80 Fuel Cell Concept. Now at that point, they only had a couple of cars to sell. But now, minus the fuel cell part, the GV80 is a reality, with its concept car looks very much intact.
This is exciting because it's not every week that I get to drive a first ever model from a relatively new brand. And though there are some familiar parent company bits in here, this GV80 truly feels like a Genesis and not just a premium level Hyundai. It's exhilaratingly fresh in every way, and for those who pay close enough attention to 1, even know what Genesis is, and then 2, where to find a dealer, discovering the GV80 will be automotive bliss. Sharing a rear-wheel drive platform with the equally new G80 sedan, this is the vehicle that Genesis hopes will propel them into car shoppers' consciousness. The compact-sized GV70 will complete the 1.2 SUV punch later this year.
Because this is an all-new model, let's do a little primer here. Pricing for the GV80 starts at about $50,000. Now that will get you a rear-wheel drive 300 horsepower turbo 4 that seats 5. And at the other end of the spectrum is this one here, the 3.5T all-wheel drive Advanced Plus with a 375 horsepower twin-turbo V6. And it's the only trim available with the third row. But unfortunately, you cannot get the big prestige package on this 7-seater. So if you're into all of the goodies, you're going to have to make a tough decision.
The third row is a small one designed to accommodate young kids and in a pinch 7-seat transport. Still, Genesis provides one-touch access to the way back and power recline third row seats to boot. But for the most part, you'll probably be stowing them flat, and that's handled by the press of a switch as well. Simple and intuitive is an overarching theme in the GV80, with the possible exception of the infotainment controls, to which I'm still acclimating.
This cabin is really sharp. I love this ultramarine blue dune combo going on in here. It's also very minimalist in the Volvo style. But I have to admit, it's taking me some time to warm up to this rotary dial touchpad interface for the huge screen. But of course it's needed because this is such a far reach from the driver. Now that being said, I wish this dial was more textured. It can get a little slippery on the fingertips, making it difficult to control. And here's one the obsessive types are not going to like. The driver display is not centered up with the steering wheel. And what on earth is taking some brands so long to adopt wireless phone projection? In an otherwise gorgeous cabin, this looks like a mess.
Towards the end of my 1-week loan, I'm now more efficient in getting to what I want, learning when to spin the dial and when to press or swipe the touchpad. If it's something I want on the left side of the screen, I'll probably just reach up and touch it. But the one thing I've learned is a waste of time is the voice control, which never gets it right. This is an evolution of the infotainment we've seen from Genesis before, which organizes main groupings and tiles over several pages and contains a small dual-screen pop-out. But one thing I haven't been able to figure out is how to get this detailed small navi map over here to the big portion on the left in place of this vague, ethereal one.
From behind the wheel, you feel as though you're driving something that's much more expensive. For example, the shocks are fed information from the forward-facing camera, which scans the road ahead so that the GV80 can preemptively keep the ride comfortable. And even without the noise cancellation feature, this is one very quiet SUV. It drives beautifully in all situations, backed by an engine that delivers its turbo power with maturity. For $66,000, this is very hard to beat.
With 391 pound-feet of torque on tap, this GV80 is certainly quick and lag-free, but by and large goes about business with a luxury bent, so there's not really any acoustical fanfare or other sensations when you get on it, even in sport mode. But it's a very qualified drive on country roads where the suspension suppresses body roll, the steering is true, and the 8-speed knows what to do. Also, the side bolsters grip you a little harder when driving in sport, which is a nice touch. But push the GV80 really hard, and it becomes evident there's room for a higher performing trim if Genesis so chooses. The all-wheel drive system on this model doesn't benefit from torque vectoring or the limited slip differential from the Prestige package, but it still contributes to more confident handling, able to apportion up to half of the available power to the front wheels. And with a snow mode, a competent set of 20-inch Michelin all-seasons, and a locker that keeps all four wheels in play, the GV80 has felt more than comfortable in the white stuff. But for me, the cherry on top is the GV80 self-driving capability. It's called Highway Driving Assist 2, and it's the best hands-free driving experience I've had since Cadillac's Super Cruise. It'll still ask you to put your hands on the wheel from time to time, but far less so than others. And the heads-up display is awesome, showing you adjacent cars, providing blind zone alerts, and more. Okay, Genesis, now it's time to take this to the next level. Other things I like: the massaging driver's seat with 3 programs, the sounds of nature programs that create relaxing ambiance, the passenger talk and quiet modes, perfect for family communications and preserving nap time, the surround view monitor with an easy access button, and the slide and recline theater-style second-row seats that provide lots of long-trip comfort, and lastly, remote start on the fob. Another feature that's very cool, but I doubt I'd use very much, is the remote parking assistant, or what Hyundai refers to as Smart Park. It also works with parallel parking. How about that? Needless to say, there's a lot going on with the Advanced Plus trim. It's loaded, but there's even more waiting in the Prestige package if you leave the third row behind, with one of the biggest gets being the 3D digital cluster, because this one isn't much to write home about. It also doesn't split right and left-hand turn camera views, but instead displays them both on the right. The only other knocks I can find are: 1, there's no smart key entry on the rear doors, and 2, the GV80 is thirsty. It's rated at 20 mpg on premium, but I've barely been able to get over 15 this week. That trails its less powerful competitors like the BMW X5 and Mercedes GLE. But dollar for dollar, Genesis is giving you a bargain here. Comparably equipped, $66,000 over at BMW is getting you an X3 M40i, not an X5. But as they begin their 5th model year, most people I know don't even know what Genesis is or where to find one, and that will undoubtedly be their biggest hurdle going forward. For TestDriveNow.com, I'm Steve Hammis.